Hi, welcome to the Industrial Kingdom podcast, the manufacturing and agriculture show of the MENAT region. I am Valerie Zakka, the founder of the Industrial Kingdom Consulting Services, offering expert consultancy to businesses in agriculture and manufacturing around the MENAT. Today, we are very happy to be receiving Professor Hussein Hassan. Welcome, Hussein.
Thank you.
Today's session is centered around a very, very important topic. subject كتير مهم لإلي وبعرف إنه البروفيسور حسين كمان الفود loss and waste يلي هو كيف نقوله بالعربي؟
فاقد is food loss, مهدر is food waste.
Yes. We're going to be discussing this issue على صعيد processing, value يعني supply chain وكمان retail و household levels. So first of all, I want to welcome you. Professor Hussein Hassan is from the LAU, Lebanese American University, teaching and researching on the topic of specifically food loss and waste and generally on food science and technology. So please أنت عرفنا عن حالك ويعني مين Professor Hussein and what is how did you get here?
Thank you, Valerie, for having me. So I'm Hussein Hassan, Professor of Food Science and Technology at the Lebanese American University. My research area revolves around food safety, food processing, and food sustainability, including food waste. The topic of food loss and waste has been of interest to me for many years because I keep on seeing food being wasted while we can see people around us starving to get their daily food needs. Mm-hmm. So this paradox in Lebanon, having food insecurity while having food waste, has been always on my mind, and that's why it's one of my main research topics.
And this is why I am very happy that you are here on the podcast. Throughout my work on this, from my perspective in industrial processing, I've been following your research and the publications and all the effort you've done. You are a prominent authority on this topic. And I am particularly interested in getting your opinion on that, and as well recommendations for us on the manufacturing level, processing level, hatta going back to the farm gate. If you want to let me, I will introduce quickly the issue of food loss and waste. Why is it important? So food loss and waste is very important, like a very urgent topic to deal with for the food industry in the 21st century. It generates up to 10% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. It's more than the aviation sector, for example, which is very, very huge. About 10% of all food produced in the world is lost on the farm. يعني قبل ما يطلع على processing, it is lost. And another dramatic figure is 14% of the world's food is lost from production before reaching the consumer at the retail level. So this is like very important to deal with for food security, like you said, for the environment, and for saving natural resources.
Yes.
The best thing to know is that the prevention is the best solution. Sure. And this is what we are here to discuss. Since we are also around September 29th was the sixth International Awareness Day on Food Loss and Waste. So we are commemorating that day. And we would like to hear from you. What is the current state of food loss and waste in Lebanon? And what are the developments and progress being made on that.
Thank you for having me again. So when it comes to Lebanon, really the situation is a bit sad when it comes to food loss and waste, because according to reports, we lose and waste together around 30% of the food that we produce. At the same time, in the recent figures by the United Nations, Lebanon is considered insecure, food insecure. 1 out of 3 people face challenges in securing food. So this contradiction between having a high prevalence of food insecurity and at the same time high prevalence of food loss and waste is really alarming. Now, definitely that we have reasons for this. Let's start first when it comes to food loss. As you said, the wastage that takes place before consumption. So unfortunately, the agricultural practices are not always at their best. We have post-harvest losses. Also, we have challenges in transportation between agriculture and selling points. And in many cases, the transportation is not good enough. So by the time the fresh crops reach the destination, they would lose part of their quality, and therefore they will end up being lost. Also, recently, we've been having challenges in exporting our agricultural crops to some Arab countries, for example, apples. So resulting in wastage of these apples instead of exporting them. And definitely we have the issue of power. We don't have power supply. Therefore, the cold storage facilities.
Chain in general.
Exactly. And moving to food waste, our main issue is our hospitality culture. We tend to overcook, to overserve, because it's a sign of generosity. Also lack of awareness, because people wouldn't know that whenever they waste food, they are actually wasting not only money, but also water resources, pesticides, also the CO2 emissions, as you said. So food loss and waste is considered the third contributor to the CO2 emissions after USA and China. So if food loss and waste was a country, it would have been number 3 in the world. So when people would know about all these facts, they start acting, and lack of awareness is one of the main problems when it comes to food waste.
So awareness, as I gather, is the start, and it's actually quite powerful tool. Yeah. What are you doing? And I know you're doing many activities to raise awareness in Lebanon.
Now, unfortunately, in Lebanon, since we've been having crisis after crisis,
it is not a priority.
Exactly. But in light of the recent figures showcasing the high level of food insecurity, people started considering this topic, because again, when we waste food, we're actually wasting money. And given the economic crisis, everyone is thinking how to save money. So one way to save money is to stop food waste. When it comes to awareness, you need the engagement of different stakeholders. You need the government, you need the academic institutions, you need the industrialists, you need the influencers. Based on other experiences in other countries, awareness was the key. And in our culture, we have the guilt feeling that our studies showed it can be effective to trigger changes in this regard. When people, when you make people feel guilty about it, they start considering it. Even in one of our studies, we noticed that the religiosity can have a positive effect, and in this part of the world, people are religious.
Yes.
So when you show them that in the Bible, in the Quran, food waste was mentioned, people would start really consider that.
Interesting point.
So yeah, so you need to really highlight the
Better, let's say, let's not call it. Let's call it.
exactly. And in order to have an effective intervention, because there is no silver bullet, each culture has its own intervention. And this is what we've been trying to do in the previous years, to highlight the best strategy to create this behavioral change among people, not only in Lebanon, because our culture is similar to the culture.
Yeah, we are different
Arab countries.
the region.
True.
Yes, I've through my research and what I've been learning is that there is no like you said, one solution. There must be regional solutions to find like different waste hotspots. And I think this is what one of the topics you tackled is that kind of morality and
True. But also we have a challenge of the infrastructure.
yes.
And this is something that the government should invest in. So the government should improve the infrastructure when it comes to post-harvest storage. Also, the policies should be in place. For example, in Lebanon, we do have a food waste law issued in 2020, but unfortunately, it hasn't been implemented yet. Because by experience from other countries, you need to have incentives.
Yes.
So when you give incentives to stakeholders to prevent or valorize food waste, they would feel committed to tackle the topic.
Totally.
Exactly. And definitely food waste is part of the national issue that we have, which is the power shortage. So people don't have electricity coming into the fridge all the time. So food spoil faster.
Yeah.
And this would contribute to food waste. But
these are more
global
to Lebanon.
Yes.
Yes, it is known that we have more challenges than other, and therefore that paradox of so much waste. I think a lot of it could be due to the culture, like you said, but a lot of it is due to the infrastructure and the legislation.
As in the absence of ecosystem that supports surplus donation.
مثلا.
For example, in the Arab region or in the MENAT in general, food banks are not very common. Recently, this culture started to flourish in the area. Having charity organizations, linking people to those charity organizations can help a lot in making use of the surplus in terms of food recovery. In some countries, like in GCC countries and Egypt, you can find lots of food banks and they are all effective. In other countries, like for example, Iraq, Syria, this culture isn't there yet. So having food banks is very important.
They purpose to have the same infrastructure obstacle as us.
Exactly. And empowering cooperatives, because when cooperatives are active, farmers wouldn't lose their crops anymore. Yes. Because there will be clients to procure those crops. Otherwise, those crops would be wasted. Mm-hmm. So if a country has lots of apple production, like Lebanon, and cannot export easily to outside, if you have empowered food industry and empowered cooperatives, they can make use of these apples.
Yes, by transforming it.
Exactly. So agri-food processing is very important to tackle the food loss.
Yes, this brings us to what I always say, and I want to hear from you. if you want to find the hot spot of where we can create the most change in the fastest time and with the biggest impact, wouldn't we say that the agro-processing is where we should focus, create awareness, facilitate investment and financing of green equipment or processes?
Definitely. So, food processing is the best solution for food loss because once the farmer harvests the crops, in case the client is there to buy the crops for their agri-food business, then the food loss will be reduced significantly. So the linkages between farmers and industries are very important in order to address this issue. And after all, agri-food processing relies on fresh crops. So as long as the farmers are growing the right crop that would work for the food industry, the food loss in this regard will be minimized.
I see. So the linkages, that's a main point. It's a great place to start as well.
And like partnership between agriculture and industry, so that the farmer would grow the right crop, the right variety, so that the industry can take it.
So you would think at this point that the main challenge for this kind of at this level is the infrastructure or the not having the right system to know what to grow and where to sell it.
Exactly. And once we grow the right crop, until the food industry would get this crop from the farmer, there should be a post-harvest good post-harvest practices, for example, called storage. This is another bottleneck we have in the agriculture. We don't have the right cold storage facilities enough to store those crops until the industry gets them.
I see.
So once you grow as farmer the right crop and you have the right storage, then you wouldn't lose crops anymore.
I see. I've seen that there are some initiatives on that note to help the farmers find places to sell. You tell us a bit.
And this is the important role of the cooperatives and the clusters. When farmers cluster together, create cooperatives, they can together have a shared cold storage facility. We have it in many countries in the region, because again, one farmer cannot have a cold storage facility because it costs. So when many farmers work together to have such cold storage facility, it would be much more feasible.
Are there initiatives like that?
Yes, for example, in Lebanon, we have it in Bekaa, Deir al-Ahmar. We have apple storage facility. Now, these facilities are not enough because the volume of production is huge. So that's why it's important to have these cold storage facilities in case we're not able to sell our apples immediately, like what happened recently when the apple farmers stopped exporting their crop to some countries. We don't have enough cold storage facilities, so many farmers ended up leaving the apples on the trees.
But here comes the role of transformation center. Like
Exactly.
take these apples and hatta maybe it could be at a cooperative level.
True.
Buying equipment that will process, let's say, apple into apple molasses, apple chips, into sugar from fructose.
Sure.
But it requires investment. The equipment is not cheap.
And keep in mind,
apple tea. No, I have some.
Exactly, or apple chips. Like you have definitely too many solutions. The industry can accommodate the agricultural crops in order to avoid the food loss.
Would you be able to give some guidance to centers to tell them what to do with the surplus?
Yes. So for example, when it comes to, shall we talk about apple since we started? Yes. So because it's a strategic crop in Lebanon and neighboring countries as well. So apple can be processed into juice. Apple can be processed into jam, but also apple can be processed into innovative products. For example, apple syrup or apple cider or apple chips or apple tea. So
Bars.
exactly. So or like the apple rolls.
Or puree.
Exactly. We do have success story in Lebanon. Exactly. So we do have lots of opportunities, but you need people like Rula who are innovative enough.
Perseverant also. She didn't take no.
Exactly. And who think outside the box in order to valorize such crop. But also in Lebanon, recently we've been having the experience of community kitchens. Community kitchens are very important to valorize the potential food loss.
Okay.
Because these community kitchens can make use of the agri crops, of the extra crops in the cooking operations that they do.
They would buy the crops.
Exactly, and the ugly ones. Because, for example, if you want to make, I don't know, pasta, you need the tomato sauce. Instead of buying actual tomato sauce, like the community kitchen can get ugly tomatoes from the farmer and makes the paste or like tomato juice themselves.
Yeah.
Also recently we've been having charity organizations distributing food parcels.
Yes.
So we've been reaching out to these NGOs to consider fresh crops as part of the parcel. So instead of just distributing processed items, we can distribute fresh crops along the way. From one side, we would be empowering the farmer. From another side, we would be improving the nutritional quality of the parcel while reducing any potential food loss.
But in the parcel, they don't.
So that's why you do it like immediately. So for example, you get the fresh crops today from the farmer, you would do the packing in bags and distribution within the same day. Because yes, fresh crops cannot stay for too long. But these small ideas can make big difference because again, we can no longer afford delaying solutions. And this is not only pertaining to Lebanon, it's the same issue in different countries of the region where this problem is evident, keeping in mind that according to SDG 12.3, we need to reduce food waste by 50% by 2030, which is around the corner. So there is a global pressure on the countries and the region to tackle the food loss and waste issue in order to stay in line with good practices that everyone else in the world has been doing in this regard.
SDG 12.3 is essential for us in our industry. But how are we going to measure this? I mean, the goal is great, but what was put in place to help with it? And then how do we measure it? What are the...
That's why you need to develop a baseline. We need to know first how much we waste and what do we waste. And for this, you need equipment. So looking at success stories in Saudi Arabia or in United Arab Emirates, different stakeholders have equipment to quantify the waste, and using AI, we can tell what we are wasting.
حتى before AI with the right equipment.
Exactly. So you don't need lots of resources to do it. We just need awareness and recognition of the stakeholders that reducing food loss and waste is positive financially and is good for their CSR to market their brand being eco-friendly, because again, losing food harms the environment. So when the industry or the facility shows they are taking measures in this regard, this will reflect positively on their image, on their reputation, especially that recently everyone is turning green. Everyone wants to be pro-environment.
But not only for the image, also once they take care of that, they get they are more qualified to get funds, to get grants, and they are certification ready.
Exactly. And also in some countries, including in Lebanon, if the law will be implemented, when you take measures to reduce food waste, you can get tax deductions. So you would report to the government how much you are saving food-wise, and this will reflect positively on your tax reporting and eventually on your...
Is this conflicts in let's say Saudi Arabia?
Yes.
Are you
Yes. So in GCC countries, food companies can keep track of their food waste, and when they show that year after year their food waste is decreasing, this will definitely support them financially from a tax perspective, and also whenever they want to apply to loans, to grants, showing that they take measures in this regard will help them a lot.
So from so far from our conversation, I can say we can start from awareness, then maybe investing in equipment and processes, and then going into measurements and the data and policies.
Exactly, to show that by the year 2030, we are exactly. We need to reduce it. So we are now in 2025. So we have 5 years.
But what if we don't? What will happen? Or
Nothing. But it will show that we're not committed. But if we do, this will give us a big plus as industries, as restaurants, that we are taking measures in this regard.
And so what would your recommendation be? I know you've participated in the UNEP state of food loss in West Asia,
yes.
right? And as I read, there is not enough data.
True.
That seems to be a challenge in order what you can't measure. If you don't have measure data, you can't measure. If you can measure, you can reach the goal. What would your recommendation be if you want in Lebanon and then maybe outside the Manta region?
Actually, it's applicable everywhere. We need to have a baseline. So we need, again, to know how much we waste, what we waste, in order to come up with a plan to reduce from the source or to valorize the waste that we are making. Now, in Saudi Arabia already, they have a success story in this regard. So they did a baseline, very extensive baseline, but this baseline was important to highlight the foods that is being mostly wasted, the ramifications on the environment, on the economy, because when you get numbers, the numbers would make change instead of being subjective all the time. When you have data is power. In UAE, they started recently with such baseline. Unfortunately, in the other 20 countries of the Arab region, we don't have such baseline. So the baseline should be done on a national level. In Lebanon, through our studies, we did for households, we did for hospitality, we did for hospitals.
Yeah.
Like bits and pieces, but this is
It's putting the puzzle together.
Exactly.
Like the hospitals.
Exactly. But you need to have it
Engaging
everyone. Exactly. Everyone. And you have to do it over a long period of time because, for example, food waste during Ramadan and Christmas season is different than other months. So you need to have it over a long period of time to get accurate estimation of what and how much we are wasting.
What would you say is needed to be able to establish that?
It starts with policy making.
Let's keep the policy, Ajana, since we are now busy. Of course, if the policy is there, then we have a good bit.
Yes.
What else could be?
It can start on individual level.
Or maybe like establishment, like famous chains, restaurant chains.
Exactly. Or syndicates or clusters. So, for example, we have Qut, let's say, a very active cluster. Qut can, for example, take an initiative to highlight this topic among its members, to train them on how to measure food waste, to link these industries with academic institutions to consider how to valorize the food waste, because if we make use of the waste, then it's not 100% waste because we are getting a value out of it.
Yes.
Exactly. Because when you, for example, compost the food waste by restaurants, the compost that you get will be used in your landscape as restaurants. So instead of buying chemicals for your landscape, for your exactly, you can make use of this compost. Now, when you show them that eventually this composting machine, because they need a machine to do the composting, this composting machine, the return on investment in your case will be, for example, 25% every year. So when the restaurant owner would know that such machine will save the fertilizers to our gardens, and within 4 years I will get the money back, they will be encouraged to buy such equipment. Or when you tell them that this machine, if you request it from a donor, will be a priority, because nowadays donors care about circular economy, about environmental impact of the businesses, then I'm sure they will be motivated to take action. So it's about awareness and showing incentives to encourage them to engage in such initiatives.
Yes, I agree completely. And now that we come to the end, unfortunately, I can talk about this with you for hours. Would you have like a message to share? Let's say primarily to the agro-processors in Lebanon.
So we need to keep in mind that when we tackle food loss and waste, we're not doing it for the sake of the environment, which is very important, but also we are doing it to be more efficient, to increase our volume of profits, because when we reduce food loss and waste, we reduce the cost, and therefore we increase the profit. And let me give you an example based on personal experience.
Please.
So I used to work for Master Chips long time ago, 20 years ago. So I remember we used to notice that food handlers who are in charge of peeling potatoes after the actual peeler, because after peeling potatoes, you have some food handlers who would inspect peeled potatoes in order to like remove manually any remaining peel. So I used to notice that some of these food handlers remove big part of the potato, not just the skin. So we did this exercise. We measured the potato loss before and after training. So we monitored over 1 week how much potato loss we get from this amount of potatoes that we processed. And then we trained these food handlers about the importance of just removing the peelers, and we gave them a new peeler, manual peeler. And then we repeated the exercise. We noticed that by doing so, we reduced the potato loss by 7%. 7% is equivalent to $80,000 per year.
Wow.
So when the top management knew about it, they were very happy. And because when we requested to get the new peelers to them, we already have peelers. Yeah. Why do you need ones? So when we showed them that eventually this change resulted in saving money and saving waste, because this potato waste has environmental ramifications, they were very happy about it. And this gave them an example on how such changes are important not for the environment, but also for the financial.
And now they can keep this outlook and replicate it on other races in the
Exactly. Once you highlight one success story in your industry, the management would be convinced that this should be part of the culture. And this is a call to, let's say, a wake-up call to all quality managers, to all production managers, to always link sustainability to finance. Because when we get this link, how sustainability can save money, how can sustainability increase our profits, the top management would
increase the quality.
Exactly.
So we are developing trainings for that purpose that can be done like in company trainings or public trainings. They can sign up for that particular awareness within like industries. And I'm gonna use this exam. Thank you so much, and I look forward to cooperating with you. And I am ready to help with any initiative. And thank you to our viewers. If you have any questions for Professor Hussein, you can email us and connect on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and make sure you wait for the next episode of the Industrial Kingdom podcast. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.